The next story I'd like to share with you about Jason is probably one of the more painful stories, for Jason at least. It was rather amusing for me, and I hope you find it as amusing as I did. So, Jason would have been about 13 or 14 years old at the time, and one of the things that we would do at that age would be to play with the neighbor kids, and or sometimes in the summer months, some of our neighbors had grandchildren that would come over that were our age, and the particular incident or day in question, or that we're discussing right now, involves one of the neighbor grandchildren that came to the neighborhood, and Jason had been in the mood to have a BB gun fight. I mean, he wanted to have a BB gun fight, a real BB gun fight. I mean, where each person had a BB gun and they would shoot at each other. He tried to convince me to do that. I was not willing to do so, but he was able to get one of the neighbor grandchildren who was around for the summer to do it. And we had two BB guns, one of which was a Crosman 760, which is a pump-up air rifle. It was relatively new. And we also had a Daisy Red Ryder, which was a very old lever-action single spring-loaded that was probably 20 or 25 years old at the time. Well, from our older brother, one of our older brothers, maybe 20 years old. But it was not very good, not very good at all. As a matter of fact, when you used the lever action on it and then you fired, you literally could see the BB come out the end of the gun when you pulled the trigger. And I mean, it would just come out of the gun and go whoop, or let me get it on the screen there, whoop, and fall right out. I mean, it went all of about 10 inches, and it would start to fall to the ground. And that's how much pressure was behind it. And so Jason convinced one of the neighbors to have this BB gun fight. And to lure this neighbor in, he said, "I'll give you the better gun." And he gave him the Crosman 760. But the neighbor was only allowed to pump it. Sorry about that. He was only allowed to pump it one time. And Jason could use the lever action. Well, needless to say, Jason lost this BB gun fight, and he lost. I'm sorry, he lost it badly. When I had warned him not to do this, he did wear, both him and the neighbor boy wore protective eye gear so nobody would get eye injuries. But Jason came into the house with, if he had one, he had 100 welts on him where he had been hit with that BB gun, and he was quite angry that it wasn't fair because the other boy had a better gun than him, even though he had agreed to that initially. So Jason, and I'm sure you have to remember that incident, but I would, and again, this is one of the most amusing stories for me as the older brother, especially someone who had warned him. And I don't really enjoy seeing Jason get hurt a lot, but when he gets a little wounded, a little sore, a few hundred, about 100 welts, I'm okay with it, as long as he's okay in the long run, and he is. He's fine, but. Jason, I think I owe you a big yee for the lost BB gun fight.